and welcome to Cabaret Beat Season 2. I am your host, Wydetta Carter, and I am thrilled to bring you more members of the Chicago Cabaret Professionals and let you find out a little bit more about why they do what they do. This is such an exciting year for the cabaret community as we celebrate 100 years of cabaret in Chicago. Today's guests are Francesca Amari and Anita Kallen. So we invite you to relax, sit back, join in the chat. Here we go with Cabaret Beat. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2.
So many things we can't control. So many hurts that happen every day. So many heartaches that pierce the soul. So much pain that won't ever go away. How do we make it better? How do we make it through? What can we do when there's nothing we can do? We can be kind. We can take care of each other. We can remember that deep down inside we all need the same things. And maybe we'll find, if we are there for each other, that together we'll weather whatever tomorrow may bring. Nobody really wants to fight. Nobody really wants to go to war. If everyone wants to make things right, then what are we always fighting for? Does nobody want to see it? Does nobody understand? The power to heal is right here in our hands. We can be kind. We can take care of each other. We can remember that deep down inside we all need the same things. And maybe we'll find, if we are there for each other, that together we'll weather whatever tomorrow may bring. And it's not enough to talk about it, not enough to sing a song. We must walk the walk about it. You and I, do or die, we've got to try to get along. We can be kind. We can take care of each other. We can remember that deep down inside we all need the same things. And maybe we'll find, if we are there for each other, that together we'll weather whatever tomorrow may bring. And maybe we'll find true peace of mind if we always remember we can be kind.
Hello, Francesca Amari.
Hi, Wydetta. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Welcome to Cabaret Beat.
Thank you.
I am thrilled. And first, before we even get started, the background behind you. I love it.
Oh, thanks.
What's going on? Yes, tell me. What's going on back there behind you?
It's a sheet that I bought on Amazon. I have like 3 or 4 of them now. During the whole pandemic, you had to get creative, and there's just an ugly wall back there. And so I had a wall hanging, and I used that, and then I sort of liked that, and I got tired of it. So then I went on Amazon and I started looking at like big sheets, and I got that because I liked the pattern. It wasn't too busy. And then this is a picture of me. I was doing a live performance in Mexico of my Gilda Radner show, and they had an artist working as I performed, and she created this. So that's me, and a red piano's behind me. So I love that painting. Yeah.
I love it. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
A sheet. You
It's
see,
a
folks,
sheet.
a sheet.
And I have like 3 or 4 of them now, so I can just change them up when the mood hits.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, let's get started because you have a background, young lady, and I want to hear about it.
Oh, thank you. And thanks for calling me young.
Honey, we're all young, trust me. Trust me on this one. And I have a birthday coming up, so I am young this month.
Me too. Me too.
So let's get started and talk about your path to cabaret. So go back as far as you want. You can go to high school or prior, but tell us how you got, when did you discover I can sing, I can do so much? Go ahead, tell us.
Okay. I've been singing my whole life. So I think, since I was like a toddler in elementary school doing little school things. And then I did my first community theater. I think I was in 2nd grade, and I played a newsboy in the musical Gypsy. And so I started doing theater, and I was always in choir. And I grew up in I was born in Chicago, and my parents were both born and raised in Chicago. But then we moved to Battle Creek, Michigan. So the school system I went to had this really great program in elementary school called the Master Singers, and you had to audition, and they chose a few kids from each elementary school, and we had a choral group, and we would go around and perform at nursing homes, and it was great because you met kids from other schools. And I've always done choir, like from the very beginning. So 4th grade was my first choral experience, and then throughout high school through college, I've always done choir, which is something I recommend to anybody who asks me about singing and music and performing. Is you need to do choral work because you learn how to harmonize, you learn how to blend, you learn how to sing articulately. It was just the best training. So I did choral work, and then I did theater, and started doing bands stuff. And then after college, I moved to Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I got a job I got a real full-time job doing PR for United Way, but I was missing the music piece. So I started singing as a singing waitress at a bar. So I sang there for 2 years, but then it was really hard to manage a full-time job and that bar gig. So I started doing theater because then I could at least control my schedule a little bit. So I started doing theater again, and then I started singing again with bands. And I think I realized, so all my life I've been singing in bars or bands or musical theater. And I discovered cabaret. I think the first cabaret show I went to was maybe in the late 90s in New York. A friend of mine took me to a show, and it was Barbara Brussels' show. I don't even know when that was. It was like, I don't know, it was such an aha moment for me because I realized the style in which she was singing and the delivery and the room was what I do normally when I sing. I'm a pretty intimate singer, and I try to tell stories, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, this is sort of what I've already been doing, but I never had a name for it. So then I just became immersed in cabaret, and I started getting cabaret singer CDs. And around early 2000, I took a couple. Well, I think I started taking a workshop at CCP. So I would drive in from Grand Rapids to Chicago, and I met a lot of people. Like one of my dear friends is Hillary Feldman, and I met her there at this workshop. And it was like a weekly workshop for maybe 6 or 8 weeks. It's hard for me to think back that quickly, but I knew I needed to learn the art because I'm a real big believer in you can't just like say, I'm a cabaret singer. You need to know the history and who does what and how it's working and who are the important people in the world and of cabaret. And so I started taking classes, and I came to Chicago, and then I took a couple in New York, and I took a master class in Colorado Springs with Andrea Marcovici, and I met Andrea and Karen Mason, and I just sort of started connecting with the New York cabaret world, the Chicago cabaret world, because there was nothing like that in Grand Rapids. Right. And then we formed our own little cabaret chapter in Grand Rapids, although it was very small. And we brought Irv Rabel to Grand Rapids to do a master class for the people. So in the early 2000s is really when I sort of got my oomph. And then it took me another several years to just get the courage to go to New York and do a show. And my first show in New York was at the Metropolitan Room in 2007. And I had Barry Kleinbort as my director and Chris Denny as my music director, which was a great way to start because they were just such perfect people to help sort of ease you into a bigger pond. So that's it. There's me in a nutshell.
That's a great journey. And I have to say that I'm going to touch on the singing waitress. I don't know. I think a lot of us have done that. They used to call it singing for your supper, but that I had a blast doing that. It was
fun. It was really fun, but it was tiring. So,
yes. Yes, it's like, I'll get you your drink in a minute, but right now I have to go sing a song. And, oh, it's our anniversary. Can you sing? Okay,
Yeah.
But it paid for better tips. So
yes, it did. Saying. It absolutely did.
Well, you sing everything from jazz standards to mid-mod pop is what you call it. What is mid-mod pop?
Well, I moved to California in 2010 from Grand Rapids, and I landed in Palm Springs, and Palm Springs has a huge history of mid-century modern homes and architecture and history. So it's a huge thing here is mid-century mod homes and architecture. And so 3 years ago, I started a group. We're called the Mod Squad, and 2 vocalists and a piano player who sings. And we started doing a cocktail show every week at this nightclub downtown Palm Springs. And we did a happy hour show called the Mod Squad Variety Show. And so to connect with the mid-century modern ethic that's here in Palm Springs, we do a lot of like 50s, 60s pop music. The Petula Clark and the girl groups and the boy groups, all from the, mid-50s to late 60s. So that's what mid-century or mid-mod pop is what we sort of named it, mid-mod pop. So people know that we're going to be singing some harmony songs, and then we do Rat Pack and we do Broadway and we do a lot of stuff. But that's what mid-century mod pop is, the 50s and 60s.
But that is so creative, and that is something I love about cabaret artists.
Yeah,
you have to really create something new for yourself, and I would have never connected those dots without asking you that. So
thanks.
Congratulations to you. I love that. So
it's fun. I mean, last night we had a gig. Frank Sinatra also had a home here. Well, lots of stars had homes here, but his original home here in Palm Springs is called Twin Palms. Got a grand piano-shaped pool, and they use it now as Airbnb, and people use it for parties. And so Mod Squad performed last night at Frank Sinatra's home. And it was like just so perfect because we're in his original living room with the grand piano and everybody has their drinks and we're doing Rat Pack. And it was just like, I love this.
Wow. That's great. Well, it sounds like a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
So I want you to explain some more of your cabaret show titles. Mm-hmm. There's one called Songbirds, The Women in My Head. And the other one is Hip to Be Square.
Yeah.
Guilty Pleasure Songs. So tell me a little bit about both of those.
The first show I did in New York was called Secretly Square. And was Hip to Be Square in its beginning. Nobody really knew me in New York. I did a couple of group shows I was invited to. But then it was time for me to do a show, like my own show. And so when I met with Barry and Chris, we were throwing out ideas about stuff, and somehow we got onto this whole conversation about songs that I just always loved to sing and felt guilty about them because they weren't necessarily the cool kid songs. Mm-hmm. And so we came up with this whole concept of Secretly Square, and it was all based in reality because my ex-husband at the time hated like the Carpenters and Olivia. He loved music, but didn't hate. That's strong. But those were the songs I loved, was Captain and Tennille and Neil Sedaka, and I loved Johnny Mathis. So we built this whole show around guilty pleasure songs and called it Secretly Square. And then I've been doing it all these years. So that was 2007, and it's now 2021. So the last few years I changed it to Hip to be Square because now I'm out and proud of my choices in music, so it changed from Hip to be Square. And I've changed the music over the years because there are so many songs, and every audience has different guilty pleasure songs. But I ask people what their guilty pleasure songs, and it's like Sweet Caroline, or someone at some point said Xanadu, and my husband, not my current husband and my final husband, loves Xanadu. So I added that to the show, and I told a story about meeting my husband. So all the songs have different stories attached to them, but it's all songs that, you might not be, might be in a crowd and people are talking about all the really hip, cool music, and you like, I love ABBA, I love Karen Carpenter, I love, So that's where Secretly Square came from, and Hip to be Square. And then Songbirds, The Women in My Head, I have been in love from the very beginning of when I discovered cabaret with Nancy Lamott, Lori Beachman. They were the first two singers that I bought their records, and both of them passed so early. And Eva Cassidy I discovered, and so it was just all these women who I really sat down and thought, what is the music that means the most to me? And most of them are female vocalists or songwriters. And so I created this show called Songbirds, The Women in My Head. And it's singers, female singers and songwriters that just have so much meaning for me. So I do Ella Fitzgerald, I do Nancy Lamott songs, I do an Eva Cassidy song, I do Karen Carpenter, Carole King, Carly Simon, Linda Ronstadt. It's just all those women who really, I feel like, shaped my journey and sort of led me to where I am, because I still do all those songs, and people love them when they hear those songs. That music, whether it's Ella or I do a Carolyn Lee song. It's hard to choose in a cabaret show because you have limited time, but it's just the women who really influenced my musical journey.
And that's wonderful. That's beautiful. Yeah. And everyone you named, I love them too. Wow. Yeah. It's the connection. The connection is there. Wow. Yeah. That's wonderful.
Yeah, and I've also been influenced by Christine Lavin, who's a folk singer, and it's nice because not everybody's they don't follow folk music. So I'll sing a song that's a Christine Lavin song, and they're like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "Christine Lavin, you need to know her." And it's nice to introduce new things to people too, So I have a combination of new and old.
And that will keep the future of cabaret strong.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. I love attending cabaret shows because I learn at least one or two new songs. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I always ask them later, where did you get that? Who wrote, this person wrote this for me. Or, it's the same person who wrote that song. And it's an education as well.
It's absolutely.
Cabaret is educational. Mm-hmm. So that is wonderful. Thank you so much. So when did you actually join CCP?
I think I've been trying to remember, and it's hard to pinpoint, but it was either the late 90s or early 2000s. And so when I really started getting passionate about cabaret, I knew I needed to connect with the cabaret world, and there was none in Grand Rapids. And so I joined the Manhattan Association of Cabarets in New York, and I joined Chicago Cabaret Professionals. And I have to say now, because now I've been involved.
Is there one where you are now?
Yeah, it's called Cabaret West. Yeah, Cabaret West. But of all so I belong to them all, and Chicago Cabaret Professionals has had the most wonderful, active membership and activities for cabaret singers, and I've just been so impressed all these years because. It's easier when you live in the place where things are happening. So I know that probably more happens in New York than I'm aware of, but there aren't as many educational and performing opportunities as part of a cabaret organization as there are in Chicago, which I just love. So even though I live in California, I still wanted to belong to Chicago because I've come back and done a couple shows at Davenport's, and I still go back to the Midwest. So I just wanted to keep my hand in it. But yeah, I love CCP because of everything they offer the members. I love that.
Well, please tell me you're going to come back here again soon. Please tell me that.
Probably. I usually come back to the Midwest every year because I have family still. So I think in the summer of 2022, 22. Oh my gosh, is it really the summer of
Yeah,
22?
time is flying.
That'll be when I come back. So yeah, it's time I did another show. I think the last show I did at Davenport's was probably, I don't know, 6-7 years ago. Time flies.
Well, it's time that I see you.
Well,
And
thank you.
I want to be surprised on which one of these shows you decide to bring, because I think they're all brilliant. It's
Thank
wonderful.
you. Thank you.
So, wow. Okay. So time has flown. It does. When we get talking,
I
we get to
know.
talking, we can get into everything. So of course you're going to sing for us. Would you tell us what you're going to do before you leave us?
Sure. I am going to sing. Most of my songs are from, I always like to tell people, most of the songs I love are from the last century because we can say that now. So this one is from the last century, and it's from the Disney musical Pinocchio, and it came out in 1940, and the Andrews sisters covered it in 1941, and then probably the biggest hit was Barbra Streisand's version of it in 1965, which is when I became aware of it. I just always thought of it as a Barbra Streisand song because I wasn't a huge Disney follower. So it's I've Got No Strings from Pinocchio. I let it go for many, many years, and then just during the pandemic, I brought this song out again, and it felt so freeing. It just felt like it was a perfect pandemic song to start singing again. So that's what I'm going to sing. I've got no strings to hold me down, to make me fret or make me frown. I had strings, but now I'm free. There are no strings on me. I've got no strings, so I have fun. I'm not tied to anyone. How I love my liberty. There are no strings on me. Hi-ho, the merry-ho, I'm as happy as can be. I want the world to know nothing ever worries me. I've got no strings to hold me down, to make me fret or make me frown. I had strings, but now I'm free. There are no strings on me. Why does the gay little dicky bird sing? Who puts the zing in a butterfly's wing? What's the reason for the smile on a troubadour? Why does the breeze have a barrel of fun? Even the bee who's a son of a gun. It's all because they're free and stringless the same as me. I got no strings and I'm so glad. No strings at all to make me mad. How I love my liberty. There are no strings on me. I'm as happy as can be. Nothing ever worries me. I got no strings, so I have fun. I'm not tied to anyone. How I love my liberty. There are no strings on me. No ties to bind me. It's not easy to find me, 'cause I've got no strings on me.
Ow!
There.
Oh, thank you so much. You've got no strings. Well, there's nothing holding you down, young lady. So
Well, only in my mind.
only. Thank you so much, Francesca. This
Thank
has been
you.
wonderful. And I look forward to next summer seeing you here in
Thank
Chicago.
you. I'll let you know. I'd love to meet more people
Alright.
from CCP.
And we will come in and support you.
Thank you. Thanks,
Thank you
Wydetta.
so much. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So our first cocktail is going to be a Campy Orange Martini. Very simply, just take a quarter of an orange with the rind. It's important to have the oil. We're gonna mash that up really good. Get those oils flowing. That's the easy part. That's fun. We're gonna add 3.5 shots of Chicago Cabaret vodka. We're going to add the ice, half an ounce of Campari, and a little splash of the blue agave. You can use simple syrup or you can use honey. I like the blue agave because it gives it a little bit of a smoky taste. Now it's important to shake vigorously, and I mean vigorously. So while I'm shaking, I hope you're enjoying the premiere of Cabaret Beat Season 2. This whole season is going to be super exciting. Oh, I guess should be enough. Look at that beautiful color. And this is a tasty, tasty martini. Look at that. Okay. Little orange right on the top. And we're going to put a little splash of Campari for color right on the top of that. And tell me that doesn't look beautiful. Not only does it look beautiful, this is a great cocktail, simple and easy to make. Just remember to use Chicago Cabaret vodka. This is one of the best vodkas you'll ever taste. Cheers, and let's go on with the rest of the show.
I thought I did what's right. I thought I had the answers. I thought I chose the surest road, but that road brought me here. So I put up a fight and told you how to help me. Now just when I had given up, the truth is coming clear. You know better than I. You know the way. I've let go the need to know why, for you know better than I. If this has been a test, I cannot see the reason, but maybe knowing I don't know is part of getting through. I try to do what's best, and faith has made it easy to see the best thing I can do is put my trust in you, for you know better than I. You know the way. I've let go the need to know why, for you know better than I saw one cloud and thought it was the sky. I saw a bird and thought that I could follow. But it was you who taught that bird to fly. If I let you reach me, will you teach me? For you know better than I. You know the way. I've let go the need to know why. I'll take what answers you supply. You know better than I. You know better than I.
Anita Kallen, hello.
Hello, Wydetta. Great to see you.
Well, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. And I will share that, we met a few years ago doing something for CCP. And I will tell you, it was so thrilling to work with you on that project and to have watched you just continue to grow and grow and grow in the cabaret world is just a wonderful thing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I learned a lot from you working as your assistant director.
Yeah, and see, now you direct too, so we learn from each other. Yeah. So a lot to talk about, but I want to start off by stating something that I hear a lot about you. So I want to get it right, so I'm going to read this. It has been stated often that your style of storytelling is unique and captivating. Unique and captivating.
That's so
I love
nice.
that. I love that. So
Yeah.
before we get to that part, I want to find out what you did prior to, and maybe you still are, getting into cabaret. You were a little leading lady in the theater world. You did Eliza Doolittle, Marion Peru, Laurie Williams, Blanche Dubois. So let's start wherever you would like to. Give us a little background about you and how you started singing and discovered theater and everything else, and we'll work our way to the cabaret world.
That sounds great. Well, like many of my colleagues, I grew up in a very musical family. I have 5 older siblings and 1 younger sibling, and we all sang. My mother was a pianist, so there was always music in our house, always cast albums, playing in the background. And my sisters had done some work in musical theater in school. And I think maybe the first show I ever saw was watching my siblings perform in a school production. And I definitely caught the theater bug, without a doubt. And I was fortunate to have access to a couple of community theaters as well as school productions. And I was sure that theater was going to be my life. Went to college as a theater major, but life has a way of turning our plans upside down. I ended up going down a different path. And it took me away from music and theater for more than a decade. And I really missed it during that time. And so it was extra sweet the second time around when I was able to get back into theater. And certainly playing Eliza Doolittle in My Fair Lady was really special because it was my first leading role after a very long absence from theater. So yeah, and I was fortunate after that to have had some other really great roles. I still do theater, but a lot of my creative energy in recent years has been going into cabaret. And yeah, so I no looking back, I really love them both. I see cabaret as another form of musical storytelling. Certainly different from musical theater, but every bit, I think, as entertaining, as captivating, as moving, just different. So yeah, it's been a real blessing for me to have stumbled into cabaret, actually, because
what you stumbled into it. So what did you see, or who took you to see a cabaret show and you went, oh, well, wait a minute, or what?
Honestly, my path to cabaret runs right through Davenport's, and specifically George Howe's Monday night open mic. As a musical theater actor, I heard about it, great place to go and try out some new audition songs, just hear great show tunes, great singers, a wonderful pianist. And George creates such a warm and inviting place for actors to come and sing on their night off. And it really opened my eyes to what was out there besides musical theater. I eventually saw shows in the back room at Davenport's and realized all that cabaret could be. If you'd asked me 20 years ago, I probably would have said, well, cabaret is a concert, in kind of an intimate venue, and thought no more about it. But certainly when I started to see some of my colleagues in the Chicago Cabaret professionals to do their shows, I realized how much more it can be. And it was very intriguing to me.
So what was your first cabaret show? And tell us a little bit about the process. How did you make the choices you made?
Yeah, well, I was fortunate through colleagues at CCP. I learned about the International Cabaret Conference at Yale and applied in 2010 and was accepted. And it was a wonderful experience, not only because of what I learned, but also who I met. We had 3 other singers from Chicago there, one of whom was Catherine Thompson. And when we got back from Yale, we were all, excited about, the prospect of putting together our own shows. And in 2011, Catherine and I teamed up with a show called Dangerous Women, which was a musical exploration of all the ways that women can be dangerous. And it was a lot of fun, gave us a lot of opportunity for comedy, some dramatic moments as well. It was a great learning experience. And Mark Brunell, who had been one of our instructors at Yale, was our music director. So that was a great way to get our feet wet. And after that, I was ready for the challenge of a solo show. And so in 2013, I put together my first solo show, which was called That's So Cliche, But Music to My Ears. And it was a musical romp through our favorite cabarets and cliches and stereotypes. And it gave me the opportunity to have a lot of comedy, several parody songs in the show, and also to share some of myself with the audience. And that was a great experience. In 2015, I followed it up with another solo show. And then I guess it would be our Bernstein show. Another Yale colleague, Duncan Moore, also a member of the Chicago Cabaret Professionals, was putting together a 100th birthday celebration of Leonard Bernstein's music, and asked Catherine and I and another gentleman to sing on that. And so our quartet spent just about a year, putting it together, performing it around Chicago. And it was a very different kind of experience than a solo show or even a duo show, but it was great. And then we come to 2019, when the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment was in sight. And I've always been intrigued by the women's suffrage movement. I did a term paper back in high school on it. And I thought that might make for an interesting cabaret show. And so fortunately, Catherine was on board with me, and we started putting that together and putting together, the history. How much could we fit into an hour or an hour and 15-minute show? And then working with the music, to how to bring, that message, to an audience without, boring them with historical details. And it was very successful. Despite the pandemic, when all of our live shows were canceled, we were fortunate that we were able to film it and share it via Zoom with so many people. Probably we reached more people via Zoom than we would have reached in live performances. So we were really, really fortunate. So
I did see that. And it was called Her Story, right?
Right. Her Story, the 19th Amendment turns 100.
I saw that. It was brilliant.
Thank you. Thanks. It was a real labor of love.
So you and Catherine then are the dynamic duo?
I'm sorry, what?
So you and Catherine are the dynamic duo when it comes to coming together in collaboration?
Well, yeah, we do work very well together. We both have similar, I would say similar sort of research, interests and styles. And we both know how to, identify a good quote that's going to work in the show. And it's great to have a partner to help you research songs, because of course, the pool of songs is vast, and it's really great to have somebody to help you. And Catherine's really great at finding wonderful songs for us. So yeah, we have a great partnership. We do have, I won't call it, it's not necessarily a sequel, but it is another chapter of her story that's gonna be debut next March for Women's History Month. So we're already working on that.
Good for you. That's great.
Yeah, but first I have another solo show coming up in November.
You do. And I'm excited about this. You told me a little bit about it earlier, so please share.
Thanks. Yeah, it's going to be a tribute show to the great composer Cy Coleman. And what I have found in talking to people about, what I'm working on, is many people don't know who Cy Coleman is when they hear the name. But when you start to mention some of his work, everybody knows him. He composed Witchcraft, which Frank Sinatra recorded. I've Got Your Number, recorded by Tony Bennett. Big Spender, recorded by Peggy Lee, and of course, from the Broadway show, Sweet Charity. So everybody knows a Cy Coleman song, even if they don't know his name. And he left a huge legacy with 10 Broadway shows and dozens of Billboard top recordings. And I'm excited about bringing him to, giving him some attention and really showing people who he was and telling his story. So that's coming up on November 20th at Davenport's.
And it's well deserved. I love Cy Coleman. One of my favorite shows is City of Angels.
I was in City of Angels. Oh, it's
the I know that jazzy feel. Everything about it is just magnificent.
It's an amazing score. He really brought jazz to Broadway. And even before City of Angels, there were a lot of elements of jazz that he would bring into his Broadway shows, but he really returned to his jazz roots when he composed City of Angels with David Zippel, the lyricist. Yeah, right. It's and the book of the musical written by Larry Gelpart, which is hysterically funny. So yeah,
it really is. Wow, that's. May I ask what role you did?
I did Uli and Donna.
Uli and Donna, that's great.
Yeah,
that's wonderful.
It was such a fun role. Yeah, so I'm going to be doing a number from that in my show on November 20th.
Yay.
Uli was, she holds a special place in my heart. Such a loser in love, but oh,
music can bring you out of that.
Yes, exactly.
Oh my goodness. So how, you said you joined the Chicago Cabaret Professionals. When do you?
I think it was 2009 when I first joined, and then learned about Yale, which I attended in 2010. So I'm pretty sure it was 2009. And I think I did Strut Your Stuff, maybe the fall of 2010, which is a wonderful opportunity that CCP provides for its members. It's the chance to do a little mini show to really get your feet wet and give it a try. So yeah, that was great.
Well,
yeah,
you, and like I said, going back to that quote, yes, you are a storyteller. You are unique. You are captivating. And I want to say your vocal skills are amazing as well.
Oh, thank you.
You really, really, listening to you, we can learn. We can learn a lot of things. And I mean, cabaret performers are unique in their own way, but there's certain storytelling that happens. And when you zone right into it, and you really listen. I mean, you're one of those people I lean forward, when I'm
Oh.
listening to you. So, it's just like, oh, okay, okay. So I say thank you for teaching me as well.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, it's the storytelling is what really I really cherish about cabaret. I like to bring so much more than the music to my audience if I can. So yeah, I'm grateful to the cabaret for giving me that creative outlet.
Well, again, I love doing this show, but time just goes like this. So, will you please tell us what you are going to sing for us?
Yes, I'd love to. It's a Cy Coleman song, My Big Mistake, which is from his show, The Will Rogers Follies.
I love it.
When I was very young, I had a perfect life. My pa, the perfect husband, and my ma, the perfect wife. And every day, my life went by so perfectly. I made a perfect plan. I dreamed some perfect dreams. But now I look around, my dreams are splitting at the seams. I made one big decision, and now look at me. When I do something wrong, I do it perfectly. My big mistake, roping you in. I got my wish, now I can't win. I thought once I caught you, you'd quit your roaming. Now I'm the one who's caught in a world I'm not at home in. My big mistake, thinking you'd change, fancying life, home on the range. 'Cause I like days all carefully reckoned. You live life from second to second. Yet just touch me, and there's no other choice I'd make. I love my big mistake. Now I'm the one who's caught in a world I'm not at home in. My big mistake, thinking you change, fancying life, home on the range. 'Cause I like days all carefully reckoned. You live life from second to second. Yeah, just touch me, and there's no other choice I'd make. I love my big mistake.
Anita Kallen, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am looking forward to seeing your new show.
Thank you so much, Wydetta. Thank you for having me on today.
Can you tell us before we leave what the dates are? Do you know the
Yeah,
dates?
it's Saturday, November 20th at Davenport's. Thank you
Okay.
for giving me that opportunity to plug the show.
Not a problem. All right. Thank you again, and take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us for another Cabaret Beat. I hope you'll be back next time. If you would like to learn more about Chicago Cabaret Professionals or make a donation, please visit us at the website. Look at the link below. Take care and see you next time on Cabaret Beat.